Order at 6:02. Chief Fox is here.
I am, sir. Thank you.
How are you, sir?
Well, thank you.
Good. Gretcha, how are you?
Good, thanks.
Nancy's here. Tim,
Hi, all good.
Hi, Nelson.
how you doing?
Good.
Debbie, you still on or you're gone?
I'll be gone in a minute.
Garcia?
He's on mute.
Warden Garcia.
Present, sir.
Thank you. How are you?
Welcome. I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Good. T. Johnson.
Here.
Thank you. And Ken. Welcome. You figured it out. All righty. So we're going to start with the DOC. We have Garcia. Is Carrie on here or is it Cotto?
Warden Karen isn't on tonight.
Okay. So Cotto's here?
Ron Cotta, yes, I'm here.
I'm sorry. And who else from DOC other than you two? Nick's not here?
I don't believe he's here. It's just myself, Warden Garcia, and Captain Johnson.
Okay, Captain Johnson, you're going to speak on the Eversource system, am I right?
Yes, sir. I want to speak on the Everbridge system.
Okay, and I'll get to you as soon as we get there, okay?
Sounds good to me.
Thank you. And from the police department, we have Chief Fox. And from the town council, we have Donna. Is William around?
Bill is not on the council anymore. We'll be filling his seat, but Cindy Mangini is going to be taking his place, but she had a birthday party today.
Of course. Got to take care of those grandchildren.
Absolutely.
Righty. All right. So review of the minutes. There has been a small change, I believe. Alex, you mentioned just before the meeting.
Yeah, I noticed a small error in one of the names, so I changed that and updated it and sent it back out to everyone.
Okay. All right. Did everybody get a chance to go through the minutes? Is there any questions, concern that we want to address before we accept them?
Sir, I did have a chance to review the minutes. The only discrepancy I saw was that it appeared that the information provided by myself and Warden Karen were switched. So the report that she gave was under Willard Cybulski, and the report that I gave was under Carl Robinson. So that's the only thing that needs to be adjusted.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome.
It's hard when you're on the phone and not like face to face, so.
Right.
I'm still impressed. Neem. All right, thank you, Board.
You're welcome.
All right, then there's nothing out of the ordinary. I need a motion to accept the minutes.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes.
Tim, and second.
I'll second that as amended.
Thank you, Gretch. Appreciate that. All righty, new business. Any word from the town of Summers?
I have nothing on the town of Summers yet.
Okay.
I kind of have hit a wall sort of.
Well, and then COVID doesn't help neither.
It does not. I mean, it's not like you can actually,
Yeah.
You're chasing people virtually.
Mm-hmm. Agree.
So when Cindy, when Cindy gets on, we'll see if, maybe together we have some better luck.
Okay. Sounds like a plan. Thank you. And Cindy's not here, so we're just going to try to move in.
We do have someone else in that just joined. I'm not sure who it is with a 416-7293. I wanted to rename them if possible.
Good evening, everyone. Warden Karen. I didn't want to interrupt.
That's okay. I'm sorry. I didn't get your name.
Warden Karen?
Thank you.
Welcome, ma'am. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good, good. So we're past the roll call. We accepted the minutes just now, so we're moving on to new business. We just discussed the any word from the members at the town of Summers, and no one has heard from them as of yet. So
Okay.
that's that. Okay. So
Okay, I did get that.
okay. So new business. Anybody has anything that they need to bring up? Anyone? All right. We're going to move on to the, excuse me, I'm getting my funny. The recruitment of new members. I'm not sure if we're down any. How many members are we down? You know, Deb, if you're there?
I am here, and I believe you're down none.
None. Okay. Thank you. All right. And how about, let's go with Carl Robinson. How about your update?
Currently our count is at 795 as of this morning. We're currently in the process of our finishing stages. I'm sure if you guys noticed when you drive by of our roofing project, we're on the visiting center now.
Mm-hmm.
We're up and going with our non-contact visits. So we can do up to 13 non-contact visits at a time. So all the visits are in the evenings and then they're on the weekends. And then we have 5 virtual laptops that we can do virtual visits with the inmates, which they're the same schedule as the non-contact in the evenings and then on the weekends. We currently have from November to 24 staff members that have tested positive for COVID. 13 have
I'm sorry. Those
numbers.
Warden, you're breaking up just a little bit.
Okay. What did you hear last?
Just the numbers that you have for COVID.
So our
Yeah,
staff
the last
currently
one was-
have, from November to today, we currently had 24 staff test positive for COVID. Out of 24, 11 have back to work. And our population, we're at 0 right now, which we start acid testing with the population on Monday.
Good news.
So
How do your staff, just out of curiosity, any of them very serious?
at Carl Robinson, no. There's nobody that's with this lab.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any significant?
I'm sorry, you broke off.
Any significant incidents that you have to
Nope,
report?
there's been none. None to report.
Ready. What's your max count right now?
795.
795. Alrighty. I see Nick just joined us. How you doing, Nick?
Hey, how you doing, Nelson?
Good, bud. Okay, so let's go to Willard Cybulski for your report.
Yes, sir. So our count is currently at 355. We remain vigilant with the COVID response with cleaning and mass testing for both staff and offenders. We have 0 offenders positive right now and a total of 6 staff that are out. As far as severity goes, we had 1 counselor who has been admitted to the hospital on several occasions and is still out due to respiratory issues, but is doing well right now. No major. On October 10th, we had 2 civilians come to the facility to conduct a First Amendment audit, which has been happening around the state. So we were surprised that we were the first correctional facility to experience that. They were there for about an hour, and Field PD and CSP responded, and they left the premises without any issues. I'm sorry, sir?
What exactly they were looking for?
They just wanted to see what our response would be when they were on our property. They wanted to see law enforcement responded, and if so, if they were professional with them. And they, it was posted all over social media, and they didn't have really much negative to say about the DOC or Enfield PD or CSP, so it went well. I know that they had visited several PDs around the state. Those were posted on social media as well, but they didn't cause any issues. They did become a little irate when there was the question about them being on state property or not, just challenging us, of course. But other than that, it went well with no issues. Non-contact visiting is in progress. We have very minimal numbers. A lot of people are still remaining home. And we, unlike Carl Robinson and several of our other facilities, are not live yet with the virtual visiting, but we're continuing to test so that we can make that happen as soon as possible.
Okay. How about any major issues throughout the facility other than that one?
No major incidents, sir.
Great.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, Gretchen?
I never heard of this First Amendment audit. I mean, who does this, and is...
Yeah, I hadn't heard of it either. But apparently there are a group of individuals, just civilians in the community, that go around video recording response from law enforcement at public and law enforcement agencies, just to see the manner in which staff respond to them. So I guess it's a pretty popular thing for a lot of the guys out there to do nowadays. We just hadn't been affected by it, so we were surprised to see them on the premises.
Chief, can you bring any light to that?
We've been briefed that this is a thing, and that there are individuals that individually or collectively as a group believe it important to go out to police departments, to town halls. I had not heard of DOC as a location prior to this evening, and as was described for you, test the response, the professionalism, and certainly the statutory obligation of the part of the public employees that they're interacting with to provide requisite information. It sounds as if DOC handled it appropriately.
Okay.
So are there organizations that are doing this? Are they from Enfield? Are they from
other towns?
Or is there like?
I believe it's more of a statewide undertaking.
Yeah, statewide. There are several groups of individuals that are doing it statewide based on the research I conducted.
Are they being hit with trespassing or anything like that?
We're not. I'll speak on that. We can't do the trespassing thing because they stay exactly right on, usually on the town side, and they're usually not arrested. And I think one of the reasons they're not arrested is because while they're doing this, they're also recording their interaction with DOC personnel and also law enforcement personnel. And usually it's live stream, and they also go a little extra and post it on YouTube as well.
Huh.
We've been affected at different facilities by these groups.
Are they trying to incite trouble, or are they just?
No, they're not trying to incite trouble. Again, they just usually linger around the property just to see the response time.
Hmm.
So we don't know what their ulterior motive is right now. But right now they're just timing the response time for law enforcement and also our perimeter officers.
Yeah, I'm just curious as to exactly who are they doing this for themselves, or, I mean, if they're trying to log in a response time, for what reason? That's all I was just.
Yeah.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
If you go on YouTube and type in First Amendment audits, you'll see a slew of videos all over the state at local PDs and correctional facilities.
I think I'll do that. First Amendment audit?
Yes.
On YouTube. Okay.
I'll have it in the minutes too.
Thanks, Warden.
You're welcome.
It sounds official, but
yeah.
But I mean, they're calling it an audit. I mean,
Yeah, I'm a little taken back by that
Yeah.
too.
Do they have their CPAs like most auditors?
I- They're just throwing stuff on a wall, see what sticks, I guess.
I just wonder who funds them.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious too. I do a little research on that, see what we come up with. I'm curious. Because, I mean, we've used to have some protesters here and there, but nothing organized. All right. Gretch, anything else? Anything
No,
else?
no,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
All right. So any word on, I'm hearing rumors, Nick, about another shutdown of a facility nearby.
They're just rumors.
Okay. And infill medium is still closed? That's,
Infill medium, yes, infill is still closed.
and they're not using that for anything in particular, and the counts are down throughout the state?
We're not using it for anything inmate related. We're using it as a, what we do a COPAT training or also a COPAT certification for oncoming staff. So it's the Correctional Officer Performance, I believe, Agility Test. Instead of sending them to the academy, we're doing it at the Anfield Correctional Facility.
You just had that at the beginning or the end of November?
End of November, yes. And I think, and we just suspended it due to the high positivity rate throughout the state.
All right, so
we didn't want to take a chance and infect any of our staff.
got it. All right. And okay, yeah, that's about all I have on that. And any status on the has Nantucket College status as far as going back out? The only reason why,
Nothing yet.
the only reason why I'm bringing it up, someone asked me about it.
Nothing yet. They haven't discussed anything pertaining to that. Since our previous Commissioner Cook suspended it, that hasn't even been a conversation on the table.
Okay. All right. That anything else under old business before I get to the Everbridge update? Anyone has anything that they need to bring up?
Yeah, I have a question. Were you able to get a hold of the Summers people to see if they're going to merge these meetings?
Yeah, you just missed out when you first came on. We haven't gotten a hold of anybody as of yet. And we're
If
gonna,
you have the names of who are their members, we can contact them directly.
Yeah, I think I sent them to you right now.
I haven't received them.
No? Okay, so you know what I'll do tomorrow morning, I'll get the names and I'll forward them to you tomorrow, Nelson.
That'd be perfect. Yeah, we can reach to them and see what's the status, see if they want to, or, we like to get going on that. It's been about a year that we've been talking about it. I like to just see if they're willing, and if that's fine. If not, then we'll just continue doing what we do.
Okay.
I believe you can find those names on the Summers website. I happened to be looking one time at their prison liaison committee, and I did find some names and I think phone numbers. I haven't seen it recently, but they do have a website with some names.
All right, I'll get it from Nick, and then we'll follow up on that. Fair enough, Donna?
Good to me. I have been working through the town hall and not getting any response.
Huh. Okay. I says we'll give it a shot. Thank you, Nick. All right, if nobody else has anything on their old business, let's move on to the Everbridge system. Nick, what do you got there?
I got the Warden Kata and Captain Timmy Johnson. They'll be speaking on it.
All right, who wants to start? Kata, you want
I'll
to start?
Captain Johnson's going to start.
Okay, Captain Johnson?
Yes, sir. How are you?
Good, sir. How are you?
Not too bad. So currently with the Everbridge system, the Department of Correction, we use it as a interagency capability of contacting our tactical staff, our staff members. Facilities have their own Everbridge system within themselves. We don't use it to contact any outside sources, civilians, agencies, PDs, anything. we don't have any PSAPs. PSAPs are public safety answering points, which everybody would know as a dispatcher. We don't have any of those in our agency. So when we make a notification to a dispatch, via 911, they are going to make the determination to alert citizens in your area or any area that either utilizing CT Alert or I know you guys are hooked up with Enfield Alert. Correct me if I'm wrong.
You're right.
Okay. So more or less that determination on notifying the public comes from those PSAPs and your emergency management and your police department. Obviously we call for absolutely everything when it comes to a major disturbance. If it's going to be, we got an escape or something like that. Little things, those obviously get called in if we need an ambulance or something like that. But otherwise, we really don't have a reason to notify a PSAP because the last thing we want is put the citizens on high alert for something that could be handled in-house.
Okay, let me ask you a question. What's changed from 10 years ago up until today? Because you guys, when there was a disturbance, an escape, something like that, we had a falling tree at one time, but then we went to the Everbridge system, and that's how we used to get notified. What's changed?
Yep. So I started doing a little research on this a couple years ago, just because for this exact reason. It was at some point before my time, they pushed it over due to liability issues. If we started notifying citizens in, let's say, Enfield, and somebody got into a horrific accident or something bad happened, our agency would be held liable. So that is when the CT Alert for the state of Connecticut was kind of created, and they pushed it off on the CT Alert. So CT Alert, you could go onto a state website, you could sign up, put your name in, your cell phone, and when there is a notification made and a PSAP, your dispatch makes the determination that the citizens in Enfield need to be notified, they hit the CT Alert button. It's actually like a Google map. They draw it out in a circle, let's say a 25-mile radius, and it will call everybody that signed up for CT Alert and let them know what the current situation is, what's going on.
Tim.
Yes.
So that has changed over the years.
I don't understand what CT Alert is. I haven't heard of that. Is that the Connecticut Everbridge system?
Captain?
Yes.
Is that the one that the state is encouraging you to sign up for?
Yes.
Okay. So you're calling it CT Alert, but it's actually Everbridge. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if the company was bought out or how it works, but Everbridge uses CT Alert. I think they're one and one together. I've been using through Everbridge Kevin McManus, and I've actually been trying to get a hold of a Steve Shaw out of Enfield because I know he runs emergency management. Correct me if I'm wrong. We would like to get together and kind of figure out if we could come up with a list of what's the word I'm looking for? More or less like a table of contents of, how DOC and Enfield and everybody can work together with a notification process and where we're lacking and where the lack of communication came from, however many years ago this happened.
Right, because I know back in the day, every facility should send out their own, and I know they've gotten away from that. And exactly what you're telling me, I mean, I knew that for a while, but Tim has been bringing it up periodically throughout. I just want it to be cleared so we can put this kind of to rest over the years so that he has a clear understanding why DOC is not sending out the physical message versus the town.
And Nelson, can I jump in at some point here?
Yes, go ahead, sir.
Listen, I really enjoy our friends from DOC, and we have a great working relationship. But in all candor, this is the first that I'm hearing the responsibility for the passing on of DOC issues belongs to the town. That's not consistent with what my understanding is. We sometimes, to the extent that we perceive a public safety issue that might be presented, might do that. And I wouldn't call it by happenstance. It's better than by happenstance. But the general obligation to notify the community of a DOC escapee, in all candor, and again, I love our friends from DOC, but I have to respectfully say, I don't know that that belongs to the town of Enfield Police Department.
Chief, if I might, Captain Golden seems to think that that's the way it's going to be. In one of our meetings, he was explaining, Captain Golden was explaining about like the last escape, that he was the one that initiated the alert. So Captain Golden seems to have some information you don't have.
Well, sir, I disagree with that representation. To the extent Captain Golden is my subordinate, it ultimately is my decision.
No, I understand. I'm just saying,
we're
he had
talking
information that what you're saying sounds like there's a communication issue between the two of you.
Please understand, as I suspect you folks know, that this is actually an offense investigated by the Connecticut State Police, state property offense investigated by the state police. Enfield PD responds in an effort to provide an immediate triage and immediate assistance before the troopers can arrive. And as all of you know, the state police that's my background. That's where I spent 24 years of my life. It is, I don't see how it falls to the town to do this notification. We can dig down further on this, but that is, I don't want to sit here passively by and have the group satiated that the matter has been resolved, and that comes at the cost of everyone under the impression that that belongs to EPD to do. This is a DOC escape investigated by CSP, where we respond to provide immediate assistance on scene. We may very well, I would dare say likely would do that, but identifying us as the fail-safe in this to ensure the community notification is something that I'm not completely comfortable with.
Chief, I thank you, because that's what I have been asking about for a couple of years now. And my contention is that it's state property, it's Department of Corrections, and Department of Corrections should be the ones making the notification of a problem at the prisons. So I completely agree with you, and I thank you that you agree with me.
All right, Tim, Connie needs to say something.
Can I jump in for a second? So, Chief, if we could get a contact, and we would love to resolve this issue and try to work this out, because we don't have the capabilities of doing it, right? Like we could come up with a system, and we could come up with whatever you guys want to manage this appropriately. And Chief, if we could, like I said, we get a contact from you and work together on this, because I oversee our K-9 unit, and we have a great working relationship with you guys, and I'd like to keep it that way as well.
I agree wholeheartedly, and that's why I'm actually pained to sort of offer this, slight concern. The point of contact is Steve Hall, Hall. He's the Emergency Management Director and Communications Supervisor. If it's easier for you, you can email me if you prefer at afox@enfield.org, and I will certainly loop him in, and we can get everybody together. And folks, again, at the risk of repeating myself, I want to underscore that I believe that we would do exactly what's being discussed here. My worry is to the extent that we're identifying it as a have to that belongs to EPD. That's something that I just want to see fleshed out in further detail.
I agree.
Chief, how you doing? No, I agree, Chief. If I may add, based on what the previous gentleman was saying, that the captain did communicate that Enfield would make the notification, because they wanted to gauge, they wanted to control the panic, they wanted to assess the situation before that information went out, to ease the public panic. And they referenced that one of the escapes that we had pertaining to that, so they just wanted to gauge it for public safety purposes. That was it.
Well, thank you. I mean, I guess what I perhaps am poorly describing is that I see perhaps two levels of notification here. And the first one is, would we do it? Do we want to control any sort of panic? Do we want to get the word to our people? Is it good policing? Yes, 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 yes on all of that. And I'm supremely confident that it is something that we would. I can't think of a situation where we wouldn't. I think we very likely would. But I'm hesitant of this as some sort of maybe I'm just feeling nervous today. I'm hesitant about this as some sort of a perceived formal shift with an absolute responsibility upon EPD to notify the community of what is a DOC and then CSP concern at its core. So perhaps we're not at odds, it just requires a little bit of refinement.
All right, then I agree that let's get to the bottom of it. And if we can work things out before next quarter here, and come up with a solution that suits everybody, the police department, the Department of Correction, and the Connecticut State Police also, because we're all involved in this as one. And Tim it has been correct all along in bringing up his concerns. Where did, at one point, did it drop off and change? Without us knowing, other than knowing what with the information we get through our phones, our home numbers, stuff like that. And that's where he has a concern, which I don't blame him. You know, you have to support that. And also, just not to get off subject, but this is being televised on ETV. So the wardens, be careful, and the police department, be careful what you put out there, that nothing's out of school.
Nelson, in addition to who's going to make the notifications, I think it needs to be also looked at as to what activities are going to be notified for. As I mentioned in a meeting a couple months ago, whatever, when the pager system was active, we would receive pagers, notifications on the pagers that, and I think I used the example, Lifestar was going to be landing in the parking lot as a result of some training. Okay. The thing is people were residents. And I want to emphasize, this isn't about me. This is about the residents of Enfield.
I agree.
Okay. But the residents, anybody driving by, they see Lifestar landing and maybe a bunch of, people dressed up in black with helmets and whatever, they might get concerned. So in addition to who's going to make the notification, and I appreciate EPD making the notifications that they've made, I really do. It's just that, I've always had a problem with Enfield's alert system. But anyway, someone needs to determine what activities are going to be notified.
Who makes it?
Other than just a simple escape. Or I don't mean to minimize that. It's not simple, but, like, for example, it was that escape from Asnuntuck. I think it was stated that it was 2 hours after the escape was found that we received an alert. 2 hours is a long time.
Mm-hmm.
So, I understand not wanting to panic the public, but the public needs to know so that they
Can I
can
ask a
take the
question?
appropriate actions they think is important.
Who is sending out the Connecticut alerts, the CT alerts? Who handles that?
Police department?
We have the ability to send out those alerts. Mr. Slade and I are very pleasantly in agreement this evening. It's what he said a moment ago. It's not only who's going to send it, but even if we drill down that it was going to be EPD, the question then is going to become what level of notification the community wants. And then honestly, we're putting a responsibility on EPD to try to assess, well, they would want to know about this, they wouldn't want to know about this. Is it the canine training that does or doesn't cause community concern? Is it a helicopter landing? Is it an escape? How quickly should that notification be made? So these are part and parcel of the issues. Mr. Slade, I appreciate your comments.
But who is doing it now? Because I get alerts all the time. Who initiates those alerts that I'm getting, the CT alerts? Is it the PD that's doing it?
Without seeing the alert, I can't be certain, but I suspect that we are using that system for matters that are germane to the town of Enfield and EPD, because we have the ability to use that system. Yes.
Yeah. All right, Warden, did you wanted to add something, Garcia or Karen?
No, I'm all set.
No,
sir.
I'm just curious. I don't want to miss anybody that wanted to jump in on this. So, Mr. Johnson and you guys understand that? I mean, get together with the police department. I guess for all intents and purposes, we have to come into agreement who's going to fill out what. And I understand because I worked for the department 20 years. I retired as a captain over at Willard Bowl. So I know the system, but from the time I've left up until now, it has changed. And I believe that's what Tim and I, we understand. But where did it go? Where did it get changed? And who? Because obviously the police department, although he understands it, he doesn't agree with it 100% that it's all on them. So I just want to know where the breakdown went and, you know, how did we just get away from that all this time?
And also, how does that, you know, mesh with what goes on in Summers as well?
Yes, exactly, Donna. I mean, that's a great question. And that's a question I brought up. What happens if something happens at a Summers?
Right.
Right.
I believe.
I've actually contacted our state reps and our state senator, and I haven't gotten much information from them, but I think that, you know, they need to be aware of the fact that this needs to be a coordinated effort.
Absolutely, absolutely. When this whole system first started, Summers and Enfield were having joint meetings, and in fact, we had some meetings up in a house up near Northern. But anyway, you know, it was somewhat clearly pointed out that what was going to be notified in an agreement, a method of memorandum of understanding that was made between the prisons and the town, signed by the Enfield's police chief and the wardens of all the prisons, of what was going to be notified. And you know, I have a question with regards to tonight's conversation. If we had on a scale, an hour from now, how would we be notified? Because Chief Fox is saying maybe, maybe not, and DOC's saying no, we're not even going to do it. So, if there was an escape, how would we be notified now, tonight?
Sir, I can assure you that we would contact the chief, and I'm sure, Chief, you would help us get that related information to the town.
And we would. I think we would do that. We certainly would. We would do that with your prompting, and we might very well do it even without your prompting, obviously not releasing anything overly sensitive. What I'm just concerned about is creating a culture here that causes folks to believe that the totality of the responsibility belongs to us. I certainly would make the use of our system available, and our people would send the message. But this, you know, it would be a DOC initiated communication. And I also think that the observation about Summers is a very good one as well, because even if you resolve this issue here for us in Enfield, I think it's a very good point. You've got the same issue right over the town line, where, you know, you'd have to rely on Troop C or the Summers Resident Trooper's Office.
Right, because you got two different, I mean, Enfield and Summers, you got two different troop barracks. You got C and H. Yes, they do communicate, but at what point does the DOC sends out their message to get to us? And I know how the system works, but I think somewhere along the way, the department has lost its way. And I think we need to just get that back to where we should go with this and how it should be handled, so that we all know and we can take it from there.
For whatever it's worth, I had a conversation with a representative, and I don't remember what her title was, of the resident state troopers barracks in Summers. And I asked what the notification system was. They had no idea what I was talking about. Now, this was maybe a year ago. I don't remember exactly when, but, and I also called town hall and asked them, they didn't know what I was talking about. So I'm really concerned about Summers, you know, Northern and Osborne. If there was a problem there, how would we be notified? And I appreciate the fact that it's been said that Enfield would be notified, but I'm not real comfortable with that, be honest with you.
Basically, we like to see a directive pointing those things out, what it comes down to.
Well, I can assure you now that we have the contacts, we're going to start digging into it, and we'll get an answer for you, sir.
Sounds like
That'd be great. Thank you.
Hey, Nick, you have anything, Nick?
What was that, Nelson?
You have anything to add
No,
to
no.
that?
I mean, we're comparing technology from 20 years ago to now. The information, we're very transparent. Again, we communicate with our community partners as well. We're always posting stuff on Twitter. We have great relationships with the media, so the information is going to get out there. I mean, I will co-sign that. If something were to happen, the information is going to get out there. But to compare the technology from 20 years ago to now, I mean, we can't do that. I mean, because we know anything happens, you get a paper cut, it's on Twitter or on Instagram. So there's no breakdown in communication. It's just the flow of information and who's going to generate what. That's what we'll fix here. And Warden Carter working with Enfield PD and the chief, we'll solidify that.
All right, sounds like a plan.
A question?
Yes.
Are neighbors in Massachusetts alerted?
They're only alerted if we suspect the individuals are crossing the border. Otherwise, we try to keep it, unless, for instance, the one that borders Enfield, Longmeadow or East Longmeadow, I get those two towns confused. We usually, at times when we had issues, we make those notifications because there are bordering partners.
It used to be that they had signed up to be notified, but that was when the pager system was in effect.
Yeah, that was a while ago.
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah.
They
Okay.
can sign up for CT alerts because I work in Mass and I sign up for both the Mass alerts and Connecticut.
Have you gotten any of them?
Yeah, I've gotten, some in Springfield. If anything local happens there, I get them on my phone like I would here.
Okay, cool. Thank you. All right.
And just a comment, and I can always pull these up from the minutes too. We had an officer come to one of our meetings when the Everbridge system first came out and CT alerts first came out. And I think most of us were under the impression that the state would also send out notifications, but honestly, and I've signed up to be notified about everything. But I feel like I mostly get notifications from the town and not the state. And I think that was, where the confusion might have come from too.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you guys remember that, but we had an officer come in and kind of give us a tutorial.
He was a captain.
Oh, captain. Yep.
I want to say Cardona probably or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he actually was going to come to the next meeting, but he ended up retiring just before that. So.
Yep.
Yeah, that was the meeting that I questioned whether the system actually worked, and
Right.
requested that a test be done, and the test was done.
Right. Right. He went back and did that test.
Right.
Yeah.
And that came from the state.
Yes. I mean, the state still has the ability to do it. But like I said, Warden, is that sent out, Mr. Jones, is that sent out by facilities or you guys have one central place that sends it out?
Are you talking about Connecticut DOC?
Yes.
We don't, as far as I know, we don't have any means to communicate anymore with the public.
Okay. That's what
Yeah, I'm backing up Captain Cott or Warden Cott on that. When I spoke to Everbridge a couple years ago, I'm frequently talking to our technical manager, and we do not have the capabilities of notifying anybody outside of our agency with Everbridge.
Used to.
Yeah, that was the different.
They get it back.
But all right, let's follow up on this next month on that. That's definitely we get together and you guys have any questions, concern? I mean, let's get together and get this taken care of once and for all. So Chief, I thank you for your time and effort on all this, and Warden Kata and Jones. And Nick, I appreciate you guys getting together and at least giving us a little sense of stability as to which direction we're going from here. And that kind of helps out with everybody involved. So anything under miscellaneous that anybody needs to bring up? At all? All right, any questions, concerns before we have a motion to adjourn? Donna, you have anything?
I do not, Nelson, but I'd just like to wish everybody happy holidays and to stay safe.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Greg?
Donna.
You too.
Thank you.
All right, so let's have a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Tim, need a second?
Second.
Gretchen, thank you. All right, people, have a great holiday. Thank you for your time and effort. And the next meeting is March 10th. Let's stay safe out there and enjoy your holiday.
Thank you, Nelson.
Thank you, you too.
Thank you guys. for
Have a good night.
Good
All right,